You're listening to the Mainstream Geek Podcast for March 18th, 2016. Today we're going to be talking about the X-Men Apocalypse trailer, Civil War post-credit scenes, Batman v Superman, Screening Room, movies for your home, and Bill and Ted 3. What's going on, everybody? We're back for a Friday show with Travis, the Trailer Man Fowler.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, man. It seems like is that typically a thing that's always happened? I've never noticed it before, but the past 3 weeks have been trailers, big time trailers for you.
I always thought they came out like a Monday or Tuesday, and they gave you a weekend. Like they gave you here's the teaser trailer, the teaser trailer, and then we're going to drop a trailer on Monday or Tuesday, and they gave you the weekend to kind of let it soak in. But literally, the last 3 Thursdays have been a new trailer, and this one didn't. This one just popped out of nowhere. It's not like there was even a pre-trailer for this. It just I was sitting at work today, and I got a Facebook notification from one of my friends. He posted it in an X-Men group, and I went, "Oh, that's weird." And I looked at it. New Age of Apocalypse trailer. Oh my God!
Well, I think there was something announced yesterday.
Was there?
Yeah. Well, but it was just like a headline I saw. I think it was on Twitter or something where it was supposed to come out on Friday. For those of you at home, we record the show on Thursday night to release on Friday. But the trailer was supposed to come out on Friday. For some reason, they dropped it today. I don't know if it was leaked and they were trying to get ahead of it. But it did come out today on Thursday. And, man, I don't know what are your thoughts on this trailer? Because it's not like I don't like the X-Men movies. I do, and I do want to see this movie. It looks good. There's just something about the X-Men movies that doesn't inspire speculation about things. You know, like when you talk about Star Wars coming, there's speculation about what the movie's going to be about. When you talk about Civil War, we spent an hour last week talking about the 2-minute trailer of Civil War, speculating about what everything could be. Batman v Superman has been nothing but speculating or trying to think about what all the stuff in the trailers mean. But these trailers don't really inspire that in people. What do you think that's about?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. There's really, I mean, it's very similar to the Ghostbusters trailer. I feel like seeing this trailer, I know beat for beat what is going to happen.
Yeah.
One of the other trailers as well. So it's, I don't feel like there's going to be any sort of surprise in this. I think it's going to be, and I think that's the X-Men movies, to be honest with you. There's nothing ever really that surprises you about an X-Men movie. And, the last couple, First Class was great. Days of Future Past I liked it. I didn't hate it.
Oh, so you like them in reverse of what I like them. See, I like both of those movies, but I think Days of Future Past was much better than First Class.
See, I liked First Class better. I don't know why, but maybe it was because it was a complete revamp finally, instead of, well, we're just going to add and subtract. I liked the feel of it. It felt more like an X Factor movie instead of an X-Men movie, but you gotta take one in the chin every once in a while, because it's not that they're running out of X-Men, but they're running out of popular X-Men to recast.
Yeah. But see, that's another thing that makes me kind of like pessimistic about Apocalypse. I keep wanting to call it Age of Apocalypse, so if I slip up and call it Age of Apocalypse, trust me, I know it's not Age of Apocalypse.
Well, that's what I just said.
Oh, did you? It's just called... No, it's just called Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse is what the name of the movie is.
I know at one point it was called Age of Apocalypse.
Oh, did that? What is it?
Yeah.
No. But the whole point of... And this is more of a... Kind of a... This is more of a quantum physics time travel kind of thing. The whole point of Days of Future Past and the way they redid the comic book storyline for the movie was to right the wrongs of the past X-Men movies that had turned the story bad, and they were trying to get everything straight so they could start the story again, right?
Yes.
So
everything was so convoluted and crazy, and nobody knew exactly what was going on, so it was a way to... It was a passing of the torch.
Kind of blowing the cartridge a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this though. So First Class took place in the '60s. The majority of Days of Future Past took place in the '70s, and this one's taking place in the '80s. So would the things that are happening in this movie not have happened in the original timeline? And if so, I I can't really figure out how Wolverine is going to be incorporated into anything and how he still exists. If what happens to him at the end, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's been 2 years, so you should have seen that by now. But
It's been on FX every other weekend if you haven't.
but I don't understand how Wolverine's still going to be in a mix of things because he was dropped in the river, the Potomac. What's that river? Potomac
Yeah.
River.
Yeah.
And taken up by Stryker, but Stryker died. It was actually Mystique, and I don't understand how Wolverine's going to have his adamantium now. So the time traveling thing kind of, that made it hard for me to buy into all of that. So that's fine, but would the apocalypse thing not have ever happened since he's in this trailer? They're talking about how he was the first mutant from thousands of years ago. So that means this has always been coming along. Also, don't they know that? Wouldn't they have known in the older movies? It's hard talking about time travel like this. Wouldn't they have known in the old movies that this thing had already happened if it were going to happen? So it's just a real confusing thing. And because if Apocalypse is such a big thing, wouldn't that be the big thing to go back and take care of instead of these Sentinels? And if the Sentinels were a thing that were to worry about back in the 70s, why would the Apocalypse thing even become a thing to worry about? There's just all kinds of questions. I don't get hyped about the X-Men movies, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm fine with the X-Men movies. I remember being back in 2000 when the first one came out. I liked it a lot. X2 was pretty good too, was really good too. But they've never been a movie that I get excited about.
I agree. I'm the same way. I enjoy them for what they are, but it's like I don't proactively go see them, or not go see them, but I don't proactively seek them out. I guess when something pops up, it's like, oh, okay, the X-Men. Oh, hey, I forgot that the X-Men movie was coming out this weekend, but it's not something that I mark down on the calendar.
Yeah, definitely not a first weekend kind of movie. It's not the kind of movie that we're going to go see, do a completely straight review on for my other podcast, Completely Straight.
Right. It's a discount Tuesday movie.
Yeah.
The day that Tuesday after it comes out.
But with all that being said, it does look cool. This trailer does show you, if you haven't seen it yet, a lot of stuff that a lot of new footage actually from the previous two trailers. So I would go out and check it out. And X-Men is something that you're into, but again, it's more of the same thing that the X-Men movies always are. Not exciting, nothing to really grasp onto. The effects look awesome. So
the effects do look awesome, and it's sad that it's not exciting because they're bringing in. They're bringing in exciting things right now. Like, I'm a big fan of Havoc. Havoc's in it. Psylocke is in it. And Olivia Munn is playing Psylocke. So,
my God. Yeah.
That should be...
And those boobies.
Right?
Yeah.
That should be, huge news. But when you see her little clip in the trailer, it's like, okay. Cool. She flipped and Psyblade and car in half. It just...
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't Black Panther kicking... Bucky off of a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I didn't have that same feel.
Now, okay, so let me ask you this, though. Say we weren't spoiled, because that's what we are at this point with superhero movies. We're spoiled.
We are. We're definitely spoiled.
So if we didn't have Batman v Superman coming out in a week from today, actually, a week from today, we are going to be seeing Batman and Superman fighting on the screen, which has been building up for 3 years now. And it's been nothing but speculation for the past 3 years with the movie. A month and a half from right now, we're going to be seeing Civil War, which is Iron Man and Captain America fighting it out. We have so many big-time movies like this that are coming out. Do you think X-Men, the reason we don't get excited about these ones is just because there's so many good choices out there? Why would you drink RC Cola when you can have a Pepsi? You know what I'm saying?
I think that's exactly it. It's a combination of what we covered a little earlier about there's nothing... that there's not an oh my god moment, and we're getting the best of the best, and this isn't bad. I mean, this isn't Fantastic Four, but it's you're getting a prime rib or you're getting a great cut of steak, and then oh hey, let's go get a ribeye or something. It's like it's all the same. It's still steak, but it's a step down. Or like you said, Pepsi and RC or things
Yeah.
like that. Sam's Choice.
Well, speaking of movies to be excited about, we're going to jump into, predictably, over the next couple months. Let's be honest. The only thing that there is going to be really to talk about, and it's probably going to be in every show of this, every episode of this show, is going to be Civil War, and especially this next week, where we have 2 episodes leading up to Batman v Superman, and then on my other podcast, Completely Straight, we're doing a nerd thread review of that movie right after we go see it. So go check that out there. It'll be released on this feed too, but go to my other show and show it some love. Subscribe, review, and rate that show. But Civil War announced today also that there will be, well, there could be, and the way it was worded by the directors, in all likelihood will be 3 post-credit scenes, which Marvel's never done before. And I really love the post-credit scenes. I think it's something exciting to sit there when you see the people at the end of the movie. They get up and they leave the theater, and you're like in the group of people that sits down and waits for it to happen. I think that's an exciting thing. Maybe not exciting. It's just one of those things like, I'm part of this crowd, and
You're in the know.
Yeah.
It's like the cool kid club essentially.
Well, the uncool kid club, depending on how you want to look at it.
Very true.
But since there's going to be 3 end credit scenes, we do know that Marvel, and not every movie, they don't do a great job with these. A lot of times it's one leading up to a future movie, usually a few years down the line, and one is kind of a funny one. Like at the end of Avengers, we had the introduction to Thanos, and then we had the eating the
shawarma.
The shawarma food, yeah.
And then in Thor, you had the Collector, and then you had
the romantic kissing scene.
The romantic kissing scene.
Yeah.
Then what was what was the serious one in Thor 2? Oh, Thor 2 had
Thor 2 was the one with the romantic kissing scene and the Collector.
No, the Thor 2 was the one with the animal, the not frost giant, the stone thing chasing a butterfly on the ceiling.
Oh, you know what, man? I'm going to sound like a fucking idiot right now, but maybe I haven't seen that one.
It's the last one, because the kissing one is Thor 1, because he
I don't think
Rainbow
it,
Bridge.
I don't think it is. I think that you mean the one where she's sitting in an apartment, goes out on a balcony, and he shows up and they kiss.
Yeah, that's the first one, because
Are you sure?
the Rainbow Bridge is destroyed, and she goes, "I'll never see him again," and then he shows up to kiss her, and then in the second one, it's got one of those. Looks like a big rock demon, and he's chasing a butterfly because it's the only thing that's left over from when he's fighting everything from the town.
You know what, man? I'm going to have to watch that later, because the one you're talking about right now, I don't remember that at all. I have to get this straight in my head. That means there's some that I have never seen. Not that they matter. They don't sound like they incorporate into any other stories, but I do want to see them all. Also, the Thor movies, to me, those are my least favorite of the trilogy.
They're fun to watch, but they're not. I mean, it doesn't add anything, and it's sad that I feel like they took out a good part of Avengers 2 to give basically a 2-minute commercial for the next Thor movie.
Well, that whole goddamn movie. There's nothing wrong with that movie. It's a fine movie. It's just not great. Like, it didn't give me the excitement that the first Avengers gave me. That whole movie is pretty much a commercial for the upcoming films. It's watching that Avengers movie compared to the old one, where the first Avengers was a culmination of everything that we had seen before. This one is like this is what to watch out for in the future in every other scene. There was nothing culminating in that movie. The whole movie itself is actually, it seemed to me like that movie was kind of a setup for Civil War.
It was a 2.5 hour commercial for Phase 3 Marvel.
Exactly. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Civil War post-credit scenes. What do you think, if there are 3 of them, what are your candidates for for what they could be? What do you think they have to hit on?
if somebody dies, you'll see them come back in the post credit scenes. I think maybe I'm stretching on that one, but if there is a death, there's got to be something with Thanos. Like Thanos,
I agree.
Maybe and Loki. Maybe Loki has something to do with.
Oh, you know what, man? Actually, while you're saying it, let me look at these papers I have here. I thought I had a story printed out. Now that you're saying that, my thought would be Thanos would be in it too, but I don't know where it is, and I don't want to kill the show by looking through a stack of papers. But there was a story last week where they were talking to the Russo brothers, and they said that they couldn't incorporate anything about Thanos into this, so don't expect anything from him, because they didn't want to make this into a... they didn't want to lessen the impact of this fight with the idea that this big guy is coming. So they don't want to do anything with Thanos in this movie because, say they have this big fight, and I imagine that this fight is going to put the Avengers in a state to where they most likely don't exist as they exist now. Everything's in disarray because we don't see any of them for several movies until Infinity War. So I would imagine that they don't want to have Thanos show up in the post-credit scenes and just diminish everything that just happened and the severity of everything that just happened. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's a good point. I agree with that story-wise, but then marketing-wise, it makes about as much sense as them holding Spider-Man back as long as they did, because they just want to still make money and they want to move the plot along. Or maybe we'll see something with a different Infinity Gem. Maybe not Thanos, but there's got to be a connector to Infinity War in some way, shape, or form.
I agree. It would be a mistake if they didn't, but I'm just telling you that I read a story earlier this week. I don't have it right in front of me, so I can't elaborate on it, but I believe that's what the story was about.
Okay. I hope so. I hope that they make this more of a staple instead of a build-up, like a fluff build-up movie.
Mm-hmm. Who else? What else do you think they have to make as one of the three?
Well, there's got to be a funny one. Maybe some quipping of Spider-Man or Tony Stark, because they always have a funny one. Howard the Duck, the kissing, the creature running around, the shawarma. Like, there's got to be something funny. Maybe Ant-Man and Spider-Man, something comedic. It's hard to say. There'll be a funny one. There'll be a serious one for like I said, I think for the next Avengers movie. And man, I don't know what they would do. Maybe something for Black Panther to help open up his movie a little more. It's hard to say. It could be one of a million things.
Yeah, I think there will be a Spider-Man one because Spider-Man's next year. You have to keep that in mind. I think they're going to set up a little bit of Spider-Man and where he goes after this. I think that they will definitely set up the Hulk Thor movie. Maybe maybe it's not showing Thor, but maybe it'll be a Hulk landing on the planet Hulk.
That'd be awesome,
because that's apparently the story of Thor Ragnarok is that it's going to be Planet Hulk, the storyline of that, with Thor in place of Beta Ray Bill. And the third one, I don't know, man. You're probably right about the Black Panther thing, but I feel like since they had just set him up in this movie, I feel like this is his introduction, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of Wakanda in this movie. Maybe they're going to kind of hint at Infinity War with the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe. I'm just not saying Thanos because of what I said a few minutes ago about what I read.
Right.
But yeah, I'm so hearing that.
There's got to maybe, like you said, that brings up another point. There's no connector yet from the Earth to the galactic or the space of Marvel yet. So maybe there is something if there's a big maybe.
Oh, dude,
like a connector, cosmic. That's the word I was looking for. Cosmic Marvel.
You know what we're not even looking at, and it happens in November. Fucking Doctor Strange, man.
You know what?
Doctor Strange happens in November.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Also, it would work out logistically because that movie just finished shooting. So that everything is shot for that movie. So they probably have some post-production work done on it. So they probably have a scene that they could use, or a setup scene that they could use. So you know what? I'm taking back the Guardians of the Galaxy Infinity War setup. They could use Doctor Strange in a way to set up the Infinity War, because in the comic books of Infinity Gauntlet, Doctor Strange was a huge part of how that all started, where they started fighting against Thanos. So I bet they set up Doctor Strange in some way.
That's a really, really good idea. I mean, they're paying him enough money. Why not show him off? Maybe we'll see him casting a spell, or watching and observing through the eye of Agamotto, however that's said.
Well, I don't know about that, man, because we can get into a little Doctor Strange talk here, actually. That's pretty cool. The Doctor Strange movie is a origin story. They've already said that. So I don't know if they will show Doctor Strange as Doctor Strange without having seen his origin story yet. But I think I think if there is a Doctor Strange post-credit scene, it'll be more of an alluding to him, like they did in Captain America 2.
Maybe he is the surgeon that S.H.I.E.L.D. has hired to take care of the Avengers or something, and you see him walk in bandaging up the Avengers or something like that.
Yeah, who knows, man. What are your thoughts? Are you excited about Doctor Strange?
Yes and no. I liked Doctor Strange, but I liked early Doctor Strange, like the Steve Ditko stuff.
It was really weird and trippy.
Yes.
Now, have you looked at any of the all new, all different Marvels Doctor Strange?
I have not. I'm a little behind on my books. I flipped through it, but I have not read any of it. Right now.
If you like the trippy art of the Steve Ditko Doctor Strange, I think you'll really like this new Doctor Strange incarnation they have going on. The artwork and the way they choose to display that he's living in two worlds at one time. He has the mystical eye, you know. So it's really cool the way they choose to use the artwork to display that, how the world is different to him because he can see the magic side of things. So if you're into art and the art of Doctor Strange in the old days, you're going to love the way it's done today.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. Because I mean, the thing Marvel does is whenever there's a movie or something coming out, they always put their big guns on that title, and it always is really, really good. So I want to check it out. I just have yet had the chance to.
Here's the thing, my thought about the Doctor Strange movie. I'm super excited about it. I've fallen back in love with Doctor Strange now that I'm reading this new comic. My worry is, though, and it's not even really a worry, is that he's not really known to the general public, and it's the worry side of that is that if one of these movies does bad, that means the next movie is going to suffer, you know, and it's going to start making the public when they see that Marvel presents Doctor Strange and the general public doesn't like it or doesn't get it, then that's going to make them, the next time Marvel has a different type of movie, like the Black Panther movie come out, or somebody's not as widely known as Captain America or Iron Man or the Incredible Hulk, that's going to make people more hesitant to go see that. But on the other side of that coin, Marvel's kicking ass at doing that. They gave us Ant-Man, which nobody knows shit about Ant-Man.
Right. Paul Rudd did an amazing job as Ant-Man, and I think that's where Marvel Studios does a great job for these characters that you're just like,
Guardians of the Galaxy, man.
Right,
who the fuck knew who Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, I knew who Rocket Raccoon was because when I was a little kid, I happened to have had a Rocket Raccoon comic book that and it was just one of the comic book to flip through. I didn't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. I just knew who Rocket Raccoon was and that he was a member of a team called that in that comic book series. Other than that,
right.
I knew shit all about these guys.
I knew a little bit from Annihilation. I did read Annihilation when it was coming out by Abnett and Lanning, that whole crazy fiasco. But other than that, I had no previous knowledge other than Rocket, because Rocket showed up Rocket showed up every once in a while, but also like when you would read the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, you'd be like, "Oh, look, there's a little raccoon guy." So I mean, he just kind of was one of those characters.
It's
But
it's Disney, man. Disney. Say what you will about Disney, but they have an amazing marketing team. If they're putting out a big movie, that shit is going to make a ton of money. They made a movie about a spaceman, a green woman, a raccoon, a talking raccoon, and a talking tree that only says 3 words, and made it into almost $1 billion movie. I mean, who would have thought that would happen in the real world? But that doesn't happen.
and Batista was an actor in said movie.
Yeah, and they had another guy, a tattooed man, as a member of the team.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel was the voice of the tree that only said 3 words. So I kind of trust anything Marvel's choosing to do at this point. I am always waiting for that other shoe to drop because I don't want these movies to end. I think Batman v Superman next week is going to be a train wreck. I'm convinced of that. I'm walking and hoping it's great because I want more movies, and I know the first bad comic book movie that happens, we're going to go back to the Daredevil movie days, and people are going to be like, we'll go see it if we know it's somebody like Spider-Man. You know, I don't want that to happen again.
I don't either. It sounds selfish, but I'm like you. I want these to go on for another 8-10 years. I want to, Marvel Phase 10, Marvel Phase 11. Like it would be it's very selfish, but I do. I want them to go on forever, like you too.
I mean, how crazy would it be to take our grandkids to go see Marvel movies because they're still doing well on that day? I mean, that's not going to happen. That's unrealistic to even think about expecting to happen. But how cool would that be to take your grandkids to go see a Marvel movie in the future?
I think it would be great. Like that we didn't have this when we were their age.
Not in a good way, at least. We had Captain America movies, and we had
a Hulk TV show in syndication.
Yeah.
Couple Superman movies, couple Batman movies. But there really was there was nothing. It was all a TV special or a straight to video. And when you watched it, the box art was amazing, but then you got it home, like that Captain America movie.
Oh my God.
Captain America is only in the costume for the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, this is just a boring movie.
Yeah. Well, Disney's really good at making movies that kids can like and movies that adults like. All the Pixar movies. Name a Pixar movie that you don't love. I mean, I'm sorry. Name a Pixar movie that you don't at least like. You can't. They're all good.
Right.
I could be wrong. I haven't seen the Big Dinosaur or the Good Dinosaur yet. But I'm sure
I've heard people cry in that movie just like Toy Story. So I mean,
Toy Story.
Yeah,
man, Toy Story 3 shut me down at the end of it. The girl I was dating at the time when we saw Toy Story 3 had to grab my shoulder and ask me if I was okay. I wasn't like bent over, heaving, crying, but I was like pouring tears on when he was giving the toys away at the end of Toy Story 3.
Oh yeah, I was.
It made me bawl. Like I was just sitting there pouring tears out of my eyes.
I was engaged at the time, and Brittany looks over at me and goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, you just don't understand. Those are his toys, and
that's exactly what I said."
He knows he's too old, but like that's his life. You don't understand the passing of the torch.
Yeah, giving away your toys is like the saddest thing ever.
It is.
Yeah, even if you don't touch them anymore, it's just like, wow, like every memory I have is in this box, and I'm giving it all away right now. That's shattering to a guy.
It is. And she laughed and she went, "Okay, I understand it's sad, but." I mean, it has to be a guy thing because girls just don't have that. I don't think girls have that attachment to Barbie, like, or anything like that. It's like, oh, I play this, I play that, but it's like, you've got your team of GI Joes or your squad of Power Rangers and your superheroes, and
yeah,
you just grow attached to them.
Well, girls grow attached to baby dolls, and they end up with real babies, and guys end up with real babies too. But guys end up with babies that they can play with toys with, and like having a new baby is a great way to start buying toys again without looking like an idiot. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
I've used my son for an excuse a handful of times.
Well, while we're on the subject of Captain America, and I saw this right before we started the show actually, and I kind of want to touch on it. Did you know? Okay, do you remember when Marvel had the big announcement for the whole slate of movies they have coming out between 2015 and 2020?
Yes, that was.
It
Yeah.
was November of 2014, I think, is when it was.
Yeah.
Well, on that board they had they didn't say Captain America: Civil War right up front. They said Captain America and the Serpent Society, if you remember.
I do remember that.
And then they changed like as a big reveal when they brought everybody out on stage. Something that came out today when they were talking, another interview with the Russo brothers is, and I thought this was super interesting. Captain America 3 was going to be actually Captain America and the Serpent Society, but to do the movie they wanted, they had to go to Disney and say, hey, we're going to need more money to do this. And Disney said, you can only have more money if you incorporate Robert Downey Jr. in some way as Iron Man. Because Robert Downey Jr., he's Iron Man's what makes this franchise money, which I would argue Cap is the new guy that brings the cash in after this movie, I'm sure. But so to incorporate Iron Man, they couldn't figure out a good way to do so into the Serpent Society. So they decided to go the Civil War route. So Captain America Civil War is not even supposed to exist back in the original timeline of things. And
That's crazy.
And by doing that, Disney said, "Hey, why don't we start talking about Spider-Man again?" Because it was right around the time of the Sony hacks, and since Sony had been found out that Sony was going to ditch Spider-Man as a franchise and restart. The fact that they were doing Civil War made Disney say, "Why don't we start these talks with Sony again about getting Spider-Man back?" And that's how he came into the fold. So everything about Civil War is piecemealed as something that it was never supposed to be in the first place. And I find that crazy by how good it looks, that it was just pretty much thrown together based upon old stuff.
I would have never thought that, especially with the amount of, I don't want to say the amount of professionalism, but the hype, like the machine behind this movie is just unreal. And it doesn't look like that it's a second thought movie or, well, crap, we can't do Serpent Society, let's do this instead. I thought that they switched it from Serpent Society to Civil War when DC announced Batman and Superman, and when they originally were going to go head to head. So, and I thought that was a deciding factor. I thought I had read that a while ago, but I may be wrong.
I've actually got the scoop on that, man. I watched a show called Collider Movie News, and they broke this down one day. Because I kind of thought the same thing that you thought. What actually happened there is, and you can actually check this out. Play along at home, folks. But what happened is, if you remember correctly, since Batman v Superman took so long to get off the ground and get going, because it's been 3 years since they announced the thing, it was originally slated for December of 2015, when the final release date for Star Wars The Force Awakens was announced as December of 2015. They moved to a date, I guess Warner Brothers thought they were being clever, that Captain America already had, the same weekend that Captain America 3 was coming out. And, no, I'm sorry. At that point, it was just Marvel had a flag on that date. They didn't say what the movie was going to be. They moved to a Marvel date. So both movies were going to come out May 6th of 2016, but then Warner Brothers realized, after the success of Winter Soldier and Avengers: Age of Ultron, they were like, we can't afford a loss at this point, so they backed up to March 25th. So that's what happened there.
That sounds good. I had thought that the backing out was just like that, but also that when they switched it, when it went from unannounced to Captain America, that also was a deciding factor as well. Like I said, I could be wrong on that.
No, that might be right, actually. That does sound kind of familiar to me.
Because like you said, it was unnamed Marvel movie, and then they went in and said, well, all right, well, we're going to go up against unnamed Marvel movie. And then Marvel said, well, screw you, we're going to make it Captain America. And then a couple weeks later, a couple months later, oh, screw you, now it's Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was kind of...
Yeah, you might be right about that, actually. That sounds very familiar to me. Isn't it crazy that studios are just planting flags on dates without even knowing what the movie's going to be yet? That's insane to me. There's like
It's like dogs marking trees. Like, this is my tree, and you can't have it right now.
right. Actually, you bring that up actually kind of smoothly moves us into the next subject of why maybe Batman v Superman moved off that date so quickly. There's an article out, and it's been verified that with marketing and everything, and by the way, Batman v Superman was $350 million to make. It's one of the most expensive movies ever to be made. Just for this movie to break even, Batman v Superman has to crack $800 million at the box office. That's
crazy.
Fucking crazy, right? Why would you start I always say, why would you start a franchise this way? And I know Man of Steel technically started this franchise, but no, it didn't. This is what's starting everything right here. This is a reboot of Man of Steel, if anything else. Or a soft reboot, I would call it. But this is what's starting everything. They're starting this goddamn thing with a movie they have to make $800 million on, when the previous movie in the franchise only made around $700 million, I think. I don't know what the fuck Warner Brothers' deal is and why they're jumping so headfirst into this thing, because it's really, for me right now, it's really 50-50 on not even good or bad, Trainwreck or Elation at this point. It could be great, but it's probably going to be, it's looking pretty bad. I'm sure it's going to have some great scenes and great fight scenes, but I don't know anybody that's enthusiastic about this movie.
No, I don't know anyone that's, I'm not the biggest Batman fan, but I do like Batman. But this is the first this is the first time Batman has been in a movie where I haven't gone, holy shit, it's Batman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though I can't stand Batman and a lot of Batman fans, like, he's a name draw. He's a main eventer, like a prize fighter. And it's like, okay, Batman, sold. I'm going to see it because it's, Batman is in it. But I'm like you, man. I think this is going to be, it's going to be a train wreck. It's feast or famine. And there's
no middle ground with this one.
Oh, no. This is going to be Fantastic Four or Winter Soldier.
We'll stew on this for a second. Okay, so Batman movies have always traditionally been something to get excited about. Do you think that is a psychological thing? Because when we were kids, the only good movie, and they're not, looking back now, they're not great anymore, but they were back then because it's all we had, were Batman movies. Batman 1 and Batman Returns, and I don't think Batman Forever was awful. Some people give it a hard time. Batman and Robin was terrible, but for superhero movies, all we had were really Batman movies that were good.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this comes back to us being spoiled now that we have so many choices of our heroes?
That we're just becoming numb to it?
No, not that we're numb to it. It's just like Batman's just not as exciting anymore. I mean, yeah, we're excited to see Batman, and we want to see a good interpretation of him. But since we now have Iron Man, Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, twice a year, going to be 3 times a year soon.
And we have Star Wars back, too.
And we have Star Wars back also. It's just like, it's too little too late from the DC side of things because they've held back for so long. And when they haven't held back, like with Green Lantern, it's really been a bad outing. Or at least a subpar outing, like with Man of Steel. Man of Steel wasn't bad. It's just not awesome.
Right.
So I think that the reason we are kind of looking at Batman v Superman with these jaded eyes is because we've sort of chosen a side at this time, and that side is Marvel. Because if you talk to people that aren't into the know, because a lot of people don't know. There's a guy at work I had to have a conversation with the other day because he was saying how he can't wait to see when Batman gets on the screen with Captain America and Iron Man. And I'm just like, that's never going to fucking happen. You can't. They're not in the same thing.
Were you at least gentle to him?
Yeah, I wasn't being a dick to him. I was just,
okay.
I explained to him. But so the general public doesn't know, so they might still get excited about it. When you talk to anybody in the know of what's going on, then I think we're all just kind of looking at it through a jaded glasses because we're on a side of all this over here has been great so far. We have no reason to stray from this. This side doesn't have a great track record, and we're just going to see how we're testing the waters with this one. If this one's bad, man, I hate to say it, but the rest of the series is fucked. Suicide Squad, obviously, they can't stop that one now because it's made. It's going to come out. And I actually have
Wonder Woman is mostly done.
Wonder Woman finished wrapping this week.
Okay, yeah. If it wasn't done, I knew it was really close.
So they filmed it. They're in post-production now. But, man, I hate that I talk about it so much and harp on it so much because I really do want it to be a good movie. It's just, Batman's time may be over unless they do something drastic with him. And Superman's never been an exciting hero in my book, He's never... how can a guy that's unkillable, relatively unkillable, be exciting?
No, I agree. I've got a soft spot in my heart for Superman, just because he's Superman. But he's the closest thing to Captain America. I mean, he's the Boy Scout, but he is unkillable, and he does everything to his ability to be the good guy. So it's going to be tough. I don't know if it's because of Zack Snyder. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why DC just can't, find the pulse of this. Or it's like they're a nurse and they're looking for a vein for an IV, and they're poking. They find something, and then they just overflood it. Like I overflood the vein. It just doesn't they've completely missed the boat, and it's sad that
I just don't get it, man. Green Lantern should have killed it. Like Green Lantern's an awesome hero. Like when you really look at the situation, he's an awesome hero.
Jeff Johns was a part of that the whole time, and Jeff Johns at the time was writing the pinnacle Green Lantern story, Sinestro Corps War of the Green Lantern. Like he was writing the penultimate, the best run of Green Lantern at the time. Like they couldn't have got anyone better on the set, and it was a flop. And I think that's what took the wind out of their sails.
Here's okay. So do you watch The Flash?
Yes. So I do watch The Flash. I am only 3/4 of season 1. We're watching season 1 because we like it so much that we want to binge watch it.
Yeah.
When it shows up, because I started it. I'm a huge Firestorm fan, so I watched all the Firestorm stuff last year when it was coming out. But Brittany and I are watching. We're binge watching Flash season 1, and then we're watching a couple of the episodes now because it's crossing over with Supergirl, and we both absolutely love Supergirl right now.
That's a good show?
Oh my gosh, it is. I love it, man. And it's just like Flash, but with Supergirl. Like they are telling I'm seeing all of these comic references that Brittany isn't getting. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna. It's not a spoiler because he's been seen, but Martian Manhunter shows up. They did a whole episode on what do you give the man who has everything, the big Alan Moore Superman story, but they switched it all up for Supergirl. Like Supergirl is awesome,
so
and
in that
she's
show,
also very, very easy on the eyes.
Oh well, she's nude in a movie. You know that, right? Oh, not a movie. She's nude in an episode of Homeland. So you might want to watch that episode of Homeland because
I may have to do my homework.
So let me ask you this about that show, and then I'll get back to my original point when asked about the Flash. In that universe, does Superman exist? And on that show's universe?
On Supergirl, yes. On Flash, no.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I don't get, because the whole big deal on the show of the Flash is that metahumans are showing up for the first time. But if Superman exists in Supergirl's world, then I need to watch the show, I guess, to understand what's going on.
But I can answer this because I've seen, I know what you're talking about. Do you this Flash is going to end up being a not necessarily a time traveler. He is going to travel to the different world.
Dude, I've seen all. I'm caught up on it. I'm current on Flash. Yeah.
So Supergirl is in its own world, like Earth, and this goes back to like Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Right.
like way back in 84, 85.
Oh, I already know what you're gonna say. I know. So
Flash and Arrow takes place on Earth 36. Supergirl takes place on Earth 37.
Yeah.
But because Flash can do his Flash thing, he is able to move from Earth to Earth.
So okay. So I'm just gonna tell you. I'm not gonna say anything specific because you haven't gotten that far yet. You pretty much have the premise of what's going on in season 2 going on right now.
I know. What's his not because Barry is Jay Garrick. I know Jay Garrick shows up early in this season because they recreate the very first time that the Flash of Both Worlds or Flash of Two Worlds cover where Barry is on one side of a wall, Jay Garrick is running on the other side, and there's someone in the middle holding their hand up on the wall. So, even though I don't watch it, I still am very interested in. I know what's going to happen, but I don't know all the details. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know it's on the menu, but I don't know how it tastes.
It's a great show, man. But anyways, my original point of bringing him up is I don't understand. Okay, so Marvel isn't as dark and gritty as they're going to make the DC Universe movies, but they are dark and gritty compared to what they could be. Kind of what Warner Brothers TV has going on. I haven't seen Supergirl, but with Arrow, what's that? Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash, is they're kind of silly. They're kind of fun shows for everyone, you know?
They are. It's an all ages, but it covers everything from all ages to, it's got the CW, the romance and the cheesy teen love, and it's got the comic geek stuff. Like they're very well put together.
So they know what they're doing with writing these shows for these characters because they pull them off very well. And writing a 23 episode season of a show is much harder than making a 2-hour movie of something.
Right.
So why don't they just put the same care into making these movies that they are with these TV shows? And why not just have a little fun with them? Marvel's kind of got this realistic, gritty, down-to-earth kind of feel. Why not let their movies be fantastical, have some color to them. It's just, that would set them apart from Marvel, I think. Maybe not in the best way, but at least it would be creative and unique to themselves. This is pretty much just like, we're going to take Marvel and make it even darker. Shit, man. What's that?
No, I think they were trying to get the rated R Deadpool before Deadpool took the rated R market. And I think they were trying something different, but I also think that the TV shows, they're kind of like when they're not, they know that they're being done. Warner Brothers knows that they're doing them, but they're not watched because they're blips on the radar.
Right.
It's like, okay, we're going to throw, $1 million or $2 million this way, but we're going to put 800 million, different size investments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though they're getting better results and better, rate, I don't even know if it's ratings, but better reviews of their TV shows, because it's such a small blip on the big picture. They're just whatever.
Well, I just know that I've heard a few reviewers that off the record, but quote unquote on the record. I'm sorry, reverse of that. On the record, but quote unquote off the record, without having their names revealed, that have seen the movie of Batman v Superman, and they're comic book fans, and without knowing, I don't know their names, but it's been said that the movie is very meh. It's meh. That's not a good review. That's for something that's exciting, like Batman vs Superman coming out. Also, today
I had heard that.
Today they announced that the director's cut runtime, the R-rated version that they're going to be releasing, which, by the way, I've never ever seen in my life seen a movie announce that they're going to have an R-rated director's cut before the movie even comes out. That's odd and unheard of. But coincidentally, timed with Deadpool coming out. The runtime on that is going to be 3 hours and 14 minutes due to violence. They're cutting 45 minutes of violence out of this movie. What the fuck did they think was going to happen when they were shooting it that they didn't think it was going to get an R rating? This it just sounds like a mess being put together. Everything sounds like a mess about this movie. It does have good points that could be bright and shining spots in a shit pool, but man, I don't know. And today they announced they're going to make an R-rated Lobo movie, and they're going to shove that into their schedule somewhere. Did you see that?
I did see that right before coming on. I saw a Lobo picture in my feed, and I clicked on it, and I went,
yeah.
Hey, DC's Deadpool. Okay, let's.
Well, we got 10 minutes to get to two more stories, so let's jump into those real fast.
All right,
move it along. Screening Room. We talked about it in my other podcast, Completely Straight. If you go to CompleteStraight.com, you can find all the ways to listen to that. I suggest you go and do that. We talked about it last night a little bit, and I had never heard of it until my co-host Josh had mentioned it. And so I looked into it a little bit more, and I found out some more about it. Here's the general premise of that, Travis. You buy a box for $150 to put in your house, basically like an Apple TV, but it's a separate device. And for $50, you can watch first-run movies on your
$50
TV.
a month, like a subscription?
$50 per movie.
Oh, per movie?
Per movie, yeah. Per movie. Now that's also like say you wanted to watch Batman v Superman at home. You didn't want to go deal with theaters.
Okay.
Well, you could invite 5 of your friends over, each pay $10, save yourself a little cash. But you're watching at home without the big screen, without the surround sound like that. So there's a trade-off, but you're doing it in the comfort of your own home.
Okay.
So that's the
Do you get multiple viewings or just one viewing?
I think I didn't get a clear reading on that, and Josh told me last night that you get to watch it. So I'm guessing it's one of those things where once you start the movie, you have like 48 hours to finish it.
Okay, kind of like an on-demand rental thing.
Yeah. So as a dad, I'm sure this sounds great to you because you could take Gavin to go see. You could stay at home and let him watch Zootopia.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, once he's at that age to go to a movie, I mean, Brittany and I right now are already paying close to $40 just for the two of us.
Right.
And when you add a third, there's no. I mean, I think it would be great. I've got a pretty decent sized TV and a good surround sound. Where
Same here.
It would be, with the exception of Star Wars, something that you want to see on the big screen. I definitely would do something like this.
Well, it has a couple big backers. It started by, who's the guy that started Napster? Sean Parker?
Sean Fanning?
Parker, I think his name is.
Okay.
Sean Parker, yeah. He's the guy from Social Network.
Oh,
Sean Parker.
Okay. Yeah.
Justin Timberlake from Social Network.
The actor, not the actual...
No. Justin Timberlake played Sean Parker in the Social Network.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he started it. He has backers like J.J. Abrams and Steven Spielberg, so pretty big names. But there are dissenters to it, such as James Cameron and Christopher Nolan. And so there's two parties to this. So I'm guessing it'll be a situation where some movies will be available if it's made by people who agree with the situation, but other movies won't be available. My stance on it is some movies I'm fine with watching at home, but like seeing Civil War or Batman v Superman, I want to see that on the big screen in a theater like we're doing next week.
Right.
So
I agree.
But what I have a problem with is the idea that James Cameron and Christopher Nolan, their argument is that they don't want to ruin the movie-going experience, but it's not ruining it. You're giving somebody a choice. If somebody wants to go see a movie in a theater, they still will.
Right. And the thing is now, when you go to a movie theater, I can't speak for any of the theaters down by you now because I haven't been to them because I've only been up here, but they make it like you're at home now. You have a recliner that goes back. You have a cup holder. You have, you can barely see the people in front of you because of the stadium seating. It's like being in your home now. It's not a theater experience because you're so, disconnected and so far apart. You lose that theater. If something's funny, you kind of lose that because the closest guy next to you, other than your seat partner, is 18 to 24 inches away.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I've got good news for you. We got those seats for Batman v Superman next week.
Well, that's good. So if this is horrible, at least I can recline.
Take a nap.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's the story with that. I thought it was an interesting movie story. And that's what's going on there. One last story, then we have to close things out because we're closing in on an hour. Bill and Ted 3, The script has been approved to be written, and the studio is now involved. They're not saying what studio it is. I read some rumors today that it might be Netflix. What are your thoughts on Bill and Ted getting a third movie? Real quick.
Pee Wee Herman just got a new movie, so why not Bill and Ted?
Oh, did that get released yet?
I think it was this past weekend on Netflix.
I think you're right. I didn't even take a look at it.
I haven't either. I had heard it on a podcast this week, and podcaster on Twitter or someone said like, "Oh, what year is it? There's a new Pee Wee movie on Netflix." So I'm pretty sure it's released.
For this one, I gotta say I'm kind of down as long as they do it right. Like maybe they kind of intertwine the storylines of the old movies with this movie. As long as they do it right, man, I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited to see it. I'm not, I like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure more than Bogus Journey, of course.
Right.
But yeah, I'm down for this one. I don't have a lot to say because I'm watching the timer here, making sure we finish on time. But we got to end it right now.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So if you have any thoughts on anything we've talked about, you can reach out to me at Mainstream Geek on Twitter and Facebook. You can also write me an email at jason@mainstreamgeek.com. I promise to all of you out there that have written emails that I am sorry, and we will try to make a special episode of just responses to you guys. It's just there's too much news to talk about every time, and when you have another person to talk to, it's not just yourself, it's hard to make time inside of an episode. Also, people... two people reached out to me on Facebook and asked when the episode for Monday was coming out this week. A little bit of news on that. We probably won't be doing Monday episodes anymore. The situation being that between this and my other podcast, Completely Straight, which you can find at CompletelyStraight.com, I was running out of time to do anything significant in my life. When you have to be around to record on Sundays, that means you can't go anywhere and do things with your wife on Sundays. So we were pretty much shooting one day of the weekend when we weren't working out of doing anything significant. So we kind of had to shut down recording on Sundays. I'm looking at and exploring other ways that we can still record and bring AJ back into the fold. So that's where we are with that right now. Follow me on social media. I'm mainly on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of them are Mainstream Geek. Again, go visit my other podcast, Completely Straight, at CompletelyStraight.com. Give that a listen, give that a rating, give that a review. Subscribe to the show. It helps us out. It helps me out. Go to mainstreamgeek.com/nerdblock. That helps out with the show a little bit. If you're already thinking of getting that, I don't see why you wouldn't do that to help me out. Travis, do you have anything you want to plug?
Real quick, I want to thank everybody for listening because Daredevil came out today.
Today?
So tomorrow as of the recording. So they're listening
You're about
Friday.
to give me a heart attack.
No. It's tomorrow, Friday. But today, when you're listening, thanks for stopping Daredevil and listening to us. Also, pretty cheesy, but as of when this goes up for the recording tomorrow, will be my son Gavin's first birthday. So
awesome.
So happy birthday, Gavin! When you listen to this in 18 years, you can know your dad.
Mouth.
Right, like, Dad, you said bad words. So happy birthday, buddy! But that's it. Have a good week, guys, and see you next week.
Hey, Travis, before we go,
okay.
High low. What are the chances that this will be the worst performing episode for first day downloads? Because we get pretty high downloads on the show. What are the chances that tomorrow's downloads drop dramatically because of Daredevil?
Pretty well. Unless it's automatic, will still be great. But I think that there will be a slight decrease in downloads on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But then Monday they'll pick back up.
Yeah, they always die on Saturday and Sunday, but then the week is always where the spikes are.
Everybody will. I'm like you. I know you had said that your weekend is packed. Our weekend is packed. We've got stuff for Gavin's first birthday all weekend, and then there's a toy show in Columbus on Sunday. So I don't know how I'm going to be getting Daredevil in this weekend. But
buddy, my weekend just opened up because it's supposed to snow this weekend, and yard work is not happening when it's snowing, buddy. So my weekend just opened the hell up.
I'm I'm a little jealous right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited to be doing a lot of things for Gavin's first
Yeah.
birthday, but man, I'm a little jealous right now.
Well, that's all we have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you again, Travis, for coming on. Guys, keep it geeky.